during the course of my dating history previously, I've always been in narcissistic, abusive, manipulative, controlling relationships, and I've always just wanted that feeling of being loved. Welcome back to my channel. It's Kiara Monnier. I've been wanting to film this video for quite some time now. I've got a couple of questions about it. So we're gonna go straight into it. This is another episode of Being Married Young, and today we are going to talk about dating after divorce. So I'm not any type of relationship expert, counselor. I'm not a therapist. I just want to talk about my own experience. So after leaving my marriage in 2018, the last thing that I was really concerned about was getting into another relationship, and it was mostly because I left a traumatic marriage. I left an abusive marriage. So initially when I left, I was very sick physically. So my whole first year after marriage was getting myself back on track. At the time, my daughter was very young, and the focal point was making sure that I was okay so that I could also be okay for her, making sure that she would get taken care of. And I started to really search for my therapist, somebody who was grounded in trauma therapy as well. It wasn't until that next year that I did find the therapist who I'm still with today. So that was around 2019. Because I was not focused on being in another relationship or even being in any type of situation, dating at all, it allowed me to get to know myself. When I left the marriage, I had no idea who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know the things that I was interested in, because in the course of my marriage, I was focused on taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of my husband at the time. And it didn't leave much time to invest in myself, invest in my passions, invest in things that truly made me happy. I was very limited. So the first year or two, I really spent trying to become self-aware, trying to understand why I would gravitate toward certain men, certain relationships, because during the course of my dating history previously, I've always been in narcissistic, abusive, manipulative, controlling relationships, and I've always just wanted that feeling of being loved. And I came to realize that it stemmed from my daddy issues, which are, I guess, funny online, but not really funny in real life. My biological father, he didn't give me the love that I required. He was pretty absent during my upbringing. I still don't really talk to him during this time in my life now as an adult. So in those relationships, I didn't know what love looked like because I didn't have that male figure to show me what it was. So even somebody being kind to me, I was like, oh, they must really like me. As well, like during that time period, I was very naive. I was very, if you're kind to others, people will be kind to you back. And sometimes that is the case. But what I've learned is that when you have like unlimited supply of kindness and forgiveness and understanding, you pick up on those people who take advantage of that. So after I left my marriage, a lot of that was focused on not being that person in relationships that I had become, because I didn't want to keep experiencing the same things that I was experiencing. It wasn't until last year that I finally felt mentally and emotionally available to even start dating again. And it's 2022 now. So in 2021, I was like, okay, well, we need to start delving into the uncomfortable, because dating, it makes me uncomfortable. Um, I recently did a quiz on attachment styles, and I intentionally avoided it because I knew that it would tell me something that I already knew about myself. So my attachment style is fearful slash anxious avoidant. So I'm the type of person, I love love. I love to give love, and I love to receive love in return, but I don't trust it. I don't trust people to be able to hold space for me. It's really hard for me to let go and be myself, because I feel like if I show my entire self, that people are gonna leave. So instead of allowing others to leave me, I leave first. And I recently learned the name of it, but I had seen it for a very long time. And that was also a big reason why I gravitated towards emotionally unavailable men, because it means that I didn't have to go in 100%. It meant that despite wanting their love, that it would be fairly easy for both parties to walk away. So because I am aware of that now, I'm trying to work on not punishing people for things that they did not do. Because for a long time I thought that I wasn't, but I was. And these people that I would try to date, they did nothing to me, but it was just fear. It was just me not wanting to start over. It was me not wanting to open up, come out of my shell, break down the barriers, break down the walls. I went into a lot of situations where I would be like, hey, these are all the things wrong with me. And in an effort to, I guess, scare them away, because what if I did let them in and I got close to them? Because I'm not close to a lot of people. So what if I did let them in and they decided that they didn't want anything to do with me? For me, situations like that are very scary, and I don't know yet how to recuperate from that. I don't know how to balance that emotional side when people decide to leave. So dating after divorce, it's opened me up a lot to my decision making when it comes to people. It's helped me validate a lot of things within myself. It's helped me to understand why I am the way that I am. But it's also helped me take accountability. I can, pinpoint the things that other people do wrong, but I'm not perfect as well. And it's been extremely important for me to know that even though you did not deserve the things that these people have done to you, you allowed it. You taught them how to treat you. And the longer you stayed in certain situations, the longer the disrespect went on. My experience, now that it's been over 5 years since I've been in an actual relationship, it's been that long. I'm not necessarily upset at the length of time, because I'm always in a state of learning. I'm always in a state of trying to better myself, because I don't want to go into a relationship hardened. I don't want to turn away a good person just because I'm not, where I feel like I should be when it comes to relationships. Because the healing journey, it's never ending. You learn to cope with things, you learn to cope with different situations, and sometimes you think that you're healed until there's a situation where you're triggered, and then you have to start from scratch in that area of your life. But with all the things that I've been learning, I've just been trying to put them into practice. It's been very important for me to treat those with interest, with an open mind, while also being aware simultaneously of red flags and green flags. I know red flags like the back of my hand, but practicing acknowledging the green flags is a work in progress for me. Dating outside of my comfort zone, making sure that I don't reach back into my past has been very important, because that is a safe zone for me. Knowing somebody and then just going from there, it's very easy for me to do because it means I don't have to start from scratch. So trying to, I guess, outsource different connections has been wildly uncomfortable for me, but I know that it has been necessary for my growth. So in general, just for me, I think that when I add everything together, my childhood trauma, my father not being present, the trauma that stemmed from that, and all the emotional and manipulative stress that I've accumulated over the years, I think that it's just personally been harder for me, because I really just wanted to focus on why I kept ending up in the same scenarios over and over. I'm happy to say though that it has improved a lot. I'm getting comfortable with not doing the normal things that I would do. I'm getting better with not gravitating towards the certain type of people or the certain type of person that I would date, and figuring out and coming to terms with loneliness has also been a big part of healing as well, because I enjoy my alone time. I am an introvert. I recuperate and I feel best when I'm alone. Even in one-to-one spaces, I tend to feel pretty good. But there came a time where I was experiencing intense loneliness just because I was not necessarily being romantical, but just having an outside source to feed into myself. I got really used to feeding into others, but I wasn't filling my own love tank. And you can do it as much yourself as possible, but because my love languages are like quality time, acts of service, and physical touch, because I wasn't getting that on a consistent basis, it was making loneliness harder to cope with. So knowing the difference between loneliness and being alone was extremely important for me, but also knowing that having the right people in my space made the difference as well has helped me on my dating journey. It's still a journey, still something I'm growing through and learning from. I no longer just date one person at a time. If I'm single, I treat situations as a single person should. Old me used to just put all my eggs in one basket, as my mom would say. This version of me allows myself to be fed with good company, good conversation, good time. Because I have learned that people are aware when they want to make a commitment. People are aware when they want to be with you, and there shouldn't be confusion with that. There shouldn't be misunderstandings with that. I am not the best communicator, but when I like you, you are aware that I like you. So settling for interactions that are not complete and wholesome and honest and pure are things that I no longer engage in just because I'm bored, just because I don't want to be alone, just because I'm lonely. Like, I no longer do that. I don't entertain people I have no interest in spending time with, because I don't want to cause pain on other people, but also I just don't want to be in that situations where later on down the road I have to explain myself as to why I was just doing what I was doing. I guess in conclusion, dating after divorce has been very similar to my life, a roller coaster. But the lows and the highs, they even out. It's been hard and it's been scary, but it's also been extremely enlightening. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my likes and dislikes in human beings. I've learned the things about myself that were hard to face and hard to confront. Even still, seeing the dark side of myself, because with light you do have your dark. So seeing the dark side of myself when it comes to relationships has been extremely eye-opening, but I'm grateful for that because they have to coexist. You cannot have one without the other. But I am a lover, and I guess a part of me still believes in fairy tales. A part of me still believes in having that best friend who also happens to be your life partner. A part of me still believes that you can singularly love one person for the rest of your life, despite my past, despite situations that have been unfavorable to me. And I know that it's going to take more time for me to be more open and to venture through fear. But I am willing to work on it. And I'm excited to see where the journey takes me. And if you are going through this current situation, I can only encourage you not to rush it. I can only encourage you to continue working on yourself and building on yourself. I'm not going to give you the advice of self-love is the best love and don't worry about no relationship and whoop-de-whoop, because I hate when people tell me that. Like, I've been working on myself for quite some time. I learned something new about Kiara frequently. Self-love and romantic love can exist within the same bounds. They can exist within each other. Self-love doesn't cover romantic love. You can love yourself all day, but we crave people. We crave connections. We crave feeling. And self-love isn't going to give you that. So having grace with yourself is going to be very important. Knowing where to take accountability, but also knowing that you are not to blame for other people's decisions in how they treated you it's all a balancing act. But take your time because nothing that is supposed to be is rushed. Blessings are not rushed. Everything is not a life lesson. Take things for what they are at face value. Stay present and do your best. It does get better. That was my ramble. That was my experience. So if you have anything similar to me, or even if you don't, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you feel like I didn't cover something that you needed to hear, ask a question, because I would love to talk about it in the future. Thank you for clicking on this video and deciding to watch it. Subscribe if you have not already subscribed. And I will see you all in the next video. Love you. Bye.